What's the deal, family? Welcome back to the Realest Reaction channel on YouTube. It's your boy Sean, and we here with another banger for y'all, man. So look, we got the Muay Thai GOAT who danced like Ali, Samart's hybrid style explained technique breakdown, man. So look, Samart Payakarun, if you don't know, real name Samart Tiptarmai, probably saying that wrong, sorry. Born December 5th, I'm the 14th, run it up. Muay Thai fighter, boxer, entertainer, considered to be the greatest Muay Thai fighter of all time. So he's looked at as one of the GOATs, if not the GOAT. Becoming a multi-time Lumpini Stadium champion, as well as a WBC world champion in boxing. He also went on to have an entertainment career, releasing several successful music albums in Thailand and appearing in several films. Bro is a movie star, a successful music artist, WC world champion in boxing, and considered the GOAT of Muay Thai, bro. So he really out here just living like Superman and shit. You know. And we gonna see what he's doing, man. I was gonna do a highlight video, but you guys have been requesting Samart for me for a long time. Like, I've done Senchai, Buwaka, I've done a bunch of other cats. And you guys always mention, like, Samart. But this is the only video somebody's actually sent me. Like, bro, like, this is the only one. There was, like, a specific video somebody wanted me to watch. So I figured, why not? Let's do this one first. But if you guys got some other, like, knockout videos, highlight videos, compilation, mixtape type of videos, legendary moments, let me know in the comments on this video, or hit me up on Instagram. That's where I've been taking a lot of my requests right now, or lately, the last few weeks. All been from Instagram. So hit me up on there, Sean W. Tyler, or Twitter, Sean Tyler TV, for any requests, man. That's pretty much it. Let's get to this video and see what he's talking about, man.
Otherworldly head movement to evade his opponents. There once was a boxer who used beautiful footwork and otherworldly head movement to evade his opponents. A boxer who used distance as a weapon, leading his competitors into some of the most beautiful knockouts ever caught on film.
Hello!
A boxer who kept his hands dangerously low, but was just too fast for it to matter. That boxer was, of course, named Samart Payakarun. And as well as being a champion pro boxer, he also happened to be.
I see what you did there. I see what you. What's your name? What's your name, man? I see what you did there. Modern martial artist.
The greatest Muay Thai fighter of all time. Competing during the golden age of Muay Thai, Samart was light years ahead of his time, incorporating complex boxing footwork and head movements similar to Muhammad Ali's into his Muay Thai repertoire. If Samart had used more common movements from boxing, his attempts to blend them with Muay Thai's staple techniques may have been a totally futile endeavor. But the cross steps, L steps, backwards shifts, and pulls used by Ali and Sugar Ray Robinson before him turned out to be perfect additions to Samart's unique style.
I was gonna say, his footwork looks very Ali-ish. Extremely Ali-ish, actually. And the one thing I know, I'm a boxing fan, so the first time I reacted to some Muay Thai, I believe that was Buwaka. I want to say it was Buwaka, but I was watching, I'm like, yo, his movement in his hips is like not there. Like in boxing, it's all about that hip rotation and movement, but what I'm coming to learn in Muay Thai is not about that. You want to be more solid in there and not really do too much rotation, but just let that power come through those arms or through those legs, depending if you're doing kicks or not. So, yeah.
Ali's footwork pattern was one of the first things ever covered on his channel.
He got a little bit more movement.
It's sidestep, then hop or slide, cross step, and then return to stance. The idea for Ali was to circle deep to the inside of his opponents, squaring them up to expose more targets while he himself remained in a safely narrow stance. This is a great pattern for fighters who wish to dominate exchanges with their lead hand, and as Samart proved, it works equally well for fighters who wish to dominate the fight with their lead leg. Like Ali, Samart's narrow, close stance let him extend the range of his jab while smoothly pivoting offline. But it also had the additional benefit of allowing him to easily lift his lead leg without needing to readjust his balance. In this way, Samart could easily transition between a flicker jab and a lead teep as he gracefully down.
See, yeah, he stands more, you know what I'm saying? He like this with it, you know what I mean? Versus And most Muay Thai fighters that I've reacted to and seen at least, they're gonna be straight up on you,
around
squared
the
up.
ring. The more experienced listeners may be wondering how Samart ever managed to use his footwork without falling victim to Muay Thai's infamously brutal leg kicks. The answer is that Samart worked defensive movements directly into his circling footwork pattern. If an opponent tried to leg kick on the first step of the sequence, Samart would simply turn his step into a leg pull, shifting back out of the way. If they went into attack at any other point during the sequence, Samart would check with his rear leg, continuing to pivot and hop off his lead foot as he did so.
Okay. Yeah. That's easy for him.
Another tactic that Samart shared with Ali was to frame off of his opponent as he circled.
Yeah, get out of there. Yeah.
This worked particularly well in kickboxing because steering an opponent off balance is even easier when they're up on one foot. Before we move on, let's take a quick look at one of the sequences that Samart used to score a knockdown. First, Samart teeps and then puts his foot down to the side, the start of his footwork pattern. He next cross steps and hops, but then, rather than hop off his lead foot to extend his jab and create an angle, Samart hops off his rear foot to do the same for his teep. He lands, cross steps out, and then jabs and circles his way off the ropes. His opponent throws a kick to Samart's exposed body, but Samart uses his extended jab to smoothly parry the kick away. Samart flicker jabs and then steps back as if he were about to retreat. Instead, he intercepts his opponent as he moves in to chase. Notice how Samart's lead hand and foot work together, his perfect balance allowing one to blend seamlessly into the other. Samart then pulls off this same technique again, and again, and again. And the incredible thing is that Samart could pull this off from an orthodox or southpaw stance in an open or closed position. This was similar in concept to the style of defensive genius Pernell Sweet Pea Whitaker, who also used cross steps and slides to dance in a southpaw stance with his right foot forward against orthodox fighters who had their left foot forward. The intricacies of these positions and stances have been covered at length in many previous videos on this channel, but the important point to take away is that most fighters spend their entire careers perfecting only one of these positions in only one stance. Samart can dominate in all of them. What's more, he used his ability to quickly shift from orthodox to southpaw while circling to set up new lines of attack, either changing stances in order to set up a strike from his new power side. Like here,
dude, being able to go southpaw to orthodox, bro, that's a dangerous fight. Like, no, just like dude said, most fighters not gonna do that, bro. You either gonna fight, you either left hand dominant or you right hand dominant, and there ain't really no ambidextry in this going with that. Because either way, if you do that, you're just gonna be average at your position, at both positions. But to be able to say I can go orthodox and be great, and go southpaw and be great. Come on, bro. That's a deadly fighter because you can't do nothing with that. He can rotate shoulders at any moment, and what you gonna do with that? And if he's not average on both, he's actually good on both sides too. You really ain't got, there's nothing you gonna do about that. Switch instantly on you.
Where he feints a kick to shift forward to set up a cross. Or cutting an angle to change his lead side in order to sneak in a lead teep or jab. Of course, all this fancy footwork would have been for nothing if Samart didn't have a powerful weapon with which he could take advantage of the angles he was creating.
Exactly.
Ali had his jab, and Samart had his legendary lead teep. In fact, Samart used his lead teep just like a good boxer uses his jab.
Nice.
Mostly ignoring the more traditional blend of a Thai march with a rear teep. He instead used his lead leg to keep his distance.
He do that shit easy too.
Pester his opponents. Wear them down. And set up more devastating attacks. In the same way that Ali could throw his jab from nearly any direction to angle through his opponent's guard, aiming it like a back fist or corkscrewing it over their shoulder, Samart could find the smallest opening to exploit by changing
Damn.
the path of his teeps. While a regular teep travels in a straight line to the target,
I mean, low key, that little kick he's doing could be dangerous. It hit you right there in that, dang, what's the word for that area? Damn. I forgot the word for that area, but they get you right there in that little air pocket. It's a wrap, buddy.
Samart would angle his teep in a variety of different ways to exploit whatever opening his opponent showed at that time. Sometimes Samart would throw his teep at a 45-degree angle, something halfway to a roundhouse kick. Other times he would load and turn his hips into his teep like a sidekick, adding a tremendous amount of power.
Nice.
Or, occasionally,
Back up
he would
off
even
me, dog.
flare his knee outside to throw an inverted roundhouse.
Interesting.
This is something you would never expect to see work outside of a
Nice.
point sparring competition. But Samart's lead leg was so versatile, fast, and powerful that he could get away with completely unorthodox movements. Here his opponent catches his leg and tries to throw him off balance.
I was gonna say somebody
But
gotta
Samart
catch
is
him
too
once.
flexible and well
Kick him
balanced,
right off.
and actually uses his momentum to rebound off of the ropes like a pro wrestler,
Wow.
driving his opponent to the ground. Samart had such great hip dexterity that he could easily pull his leg out if it got caught, or re-chamber it into a check to fend off any counters. The way that Samart chambered and retracted his kicks from multiple positions emphasizes how he had true mastery of the concepts behind the techniques, and therefore had no need to rely on rigid, more traditional movements. To quote a very wise martial artist that some of you may know, "Before I learned the art, a kick was just a kick. After I learned the art, a kick was no longer just a kick. Now that I understand the art, a kick is just a kick."
The more you know, the more you realize what you don't know. But the more you know, the more you realize what you know of what you don't know. Crazy.
Samart used what was necessary.
What's that called? The Dunning something. The Dunning-Kruger effect. Yep, the Dunning-Kruger effect. Okay, let's put some education out here, man. Go look this up. All right? Because what happens is, when you learn shit, I know this is a little sidetrack, man. When you learn shit, let me see what's a good version of this, man. Woo, okay. We ain't doing a lesson today, man. Anyways, you learn something, and then you learn it, you think you know it all. Then you realize, oh, there's more to this than I thought. Then you realize I'm never going to really fully understand this because more concepts start getting brought up to you. People understand space, but when you really start to learn about space, that little top point right there drops tremendously. It's starting to make sense. Trust me, it's complicated. So you just scratching the surface once you got to that point, man. The Dunning-Kruger effect. The more you know, the more you realize what you don't know, the more you realize what you do know. And what you don't.
Necessary instead of what was strictly correct from a form standpoint. Of course,
I go through this with reaction videos all the time, man. All the time. Because I do so many topics. You learn a few things. I think I know something. Then I realize, oh, it gets a little bit deeper than that. And you guys are always here to let me know in the comments, man. And then I start to learn more. For real, for real.
dancing and flicking out lead teeps was only one part that fit into the whole of Samart's style. To boil it down to just one concept, Samart was the very definition of a natural-born counterpuncher. And what set him apart from the majority of other fighters was that Samart was both a defensive counterpuncher, like Ali, and an offensive counterpuncher, like Tyson. Samart was the perfect realization of Ali's self-titled lean-back style in Muay Thai. He would stay just out of range in order to tempt his opponents into overreaching, and then punish them for it. To do this, Samart used a combination of head pulls and leg pulls to set up masterful counters. Upright pulls and slips are perfect additions to Muay Thai. Unlike low-level head movement, Samart's pulls and slips kept his head safely out of the way of kicks and knees, and actually eased his ability to use his lead leg.
Pulls and slips, black people, we call it bob and weave. Bobs and weaves.
Notice how Samart uses his head movement here to ease the transition into his lead leg roundhouse.
Down, up, boom.
Next, he pulls like he's in the Matrix to avoid a kick,
Bro
leaving
said
his
Neo.
opponent off balance and out of position. Samart takes advantage with the lead hook, and then follows up with a roundhouse kick to the body as a parting gift. In this way, Samart had one distinct advantage that Ali did not.
Nice.
While Samart was leg pulling, or checking, he was free to jab. And while he was pulling or slipping, he was free to kick. For instance, here Samart steps slightly inside in what can only be described as a leg slip, and simultaneously connects with a 1-2. And here he blends his motion of slipping an opponent's cross into a lead roundhouse kick counter.
His reaction time is crazy.
Samart was also a big fan of leaning back in order to draw his opponents into overreaching, so he could drive a knee right into their stomach as they tried to close the distance. That's not to say that Samart didn't occasionally use low-line head
Backed him
movement.
up real quick, huh?
Here he ducks underneath an opponent's punch to get a lock, and then throws them to the floor. Samart combined these techniques with another staple of boxing footwork, the L-step. The major benefit of this movement in a kickboxing context is that the first part of the L-step is an evasive leg pull, and the second part moves the fighter offline, setting up a new angle of attack. Or it could even turn into a kick.
Damn, he kicked the shit out of him, babe. Yeah.
Here's a beautiful example. Samart escapes the ring using an L-step and moves nearly
Nice,
180
great
degrees,
step. Whoa.
smoothly transitioning into a
Damn near
roundhouse
behind
counter.
him.
Years later, mixed martial artists like Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson and Max Holloway
Great
would
step
heavily
right
rely
there,
on the
wow.
L-step for this exact same reason. Behind all of Samart's high-level techniques was an impeccable sense of timing, and it was this otherworldly ability to seize the moment that allowed Samart to set up knockout strikes with even the simplest of movements. Just like the greatest, Samart was adept at subtly driving his opponents right into his rear hand.
Yeah.
Other times, Samart would casually walk backwards until he found the exact moment when his opponent was unprepared and off balance.
Hello.
And not to push the point too much, but Samart shared yet one more attribute with his greatest of all time boxing counterpart, feigning fatigue or injury in order to bait his opponents and then punishing them for their mistakes.
Oh yeah, pretending you hurt. Pop!
When Samart went in for the kill, he gave
Yo, that was the one right there. That was the one. Oh, I probably dropped like 15 minxes and binkses today. That was the one right there. Bop. Bro was faking that hurt, faking that pain, man. Got him, dog. Sleep.
his opponents no room to breathe. Keeping his competitors on their back foot unbalanced them and provoked panicked, rushed, sloppy strikes which Samart could then intercept with his own.
Yeah, sit down, buddy.
To draw out attacks, Samart kept his head far forward, in a position much more like a boxer than a Muay Thai fighter. The moment his opponent's hand left their guard, Samart was already slipping, his loaded lead foot helping him to drop forward and counter their attack.
Ooh, he got him looking wild. He got him looking wild.
By evading his opponent's punch and intercepting them as they moved in, he effectively doubled the impact of his strike.
Oh, shit.
And lastly, just because there wasn't enough skill packed into one human being already, Samart also had a highly developed long guard, which he used to block his opponent's vision, steer them off balance, and set up holds and strikes. The long guard also provided a great tool from which Samart could get into clinching range, gliding his extended arm inside his opponent's strike to establish a hold. From there, he could pull them right into a knee or elbow, or simply throw them to the floor.
Sheesh.
In this sequence, Samart creates his own opening by pulling down his opponent's guard.
Oh, got him.
Samart is one of the few fighters that could seriously warrant an hour-long breakdown, and should be studied closely by serious practitioners from all disciplines. He was one of the first to show how two entirely contrasting styles could fit together, and was a harbinger to how that concept would eventually change combat sports forever. Who knows what unique blends will be tied together in the future, but for now, it's worthwhile to remember: fight smart, fight Samart. If you're interested in using footwork like Samart and Ali, you can check out my best-selling book, Footwork Wins.
You tried there, guy. You tried, and that's what's important. You tried, man. Anyways, that was the Muay Thai GOAT who danced like Ali, Samart's hybrid style explained. Send me some highlight videos. Send me some knockout videos if you got some good ones. Let me know. Best place to send is Instagram, Sean W. Tyler, man, or Twitter, Sean Tyler TV. That's it. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Keep it real, real, rare. We'll always reach everyone next time. Peace.